My name is Tracy, and it has been 8 years since my dad passed on. Mom and I have lived together since his demise, the sadness bringing us closer each day. We would spend so much time together playing games and making merry in the evenings. We had finally gotten over the grief and had found a way to manage without him. All this time, Mom was not seeing anyone, and I was the only company she kept. It happened that one day I returned home from school and she was not home yet. I waited, and towards darkness a car stopped by our house, and I spotted a man walking my mom to the door and hugging her before going back to the car. Mom came in and hugged me, and the day went on as usual. 2 weeks later, Mom came home with the same man on a weekend and introduced him to me as her friend. I was only 9 by then. They stayed together as friends for almost a year until on my 10th birthday, when the man bought me a new pair of shoes and a dress as my birthday present. I was excited about it, but even more because he came with his son, with whom we continued playing even after the other kids had left for home. Since that day, it became a routine that each time my mom was out and I was left home alone, the man would bring his son Alex to our house. We would play together until our parents came back, and Alex would leave with his dad. One weekend, the 4 of us went out together, and Mom made the formal introduction that this man would be my new dad and Alex my brother. I was excited about it because I had grown so fond of him and Alex by now. A week later, my mom and I moved into Alex's house, and this became our new home. Alex was only 7 at this point, but he was fun to be with, especially when our parents were away. We would play a lot of games together. When our parents came home, my new dad would bring us sweets and an extra chocolate for me, although Alex never witnessed this. Once I approached my mom and asked her why I was the only one who got chocolate, and she would say, "Your dad just wants you to know that he loves you, even though you're not his real daughter." Being 10, I understood this and thought it very kind of him. With time, we grew even closer, and I would hug him every time he came home. He was a real dad to me now, and I finally had the father figure I had always longed for. After I turned 11, things changed, and Mom was too busy with work, or maybe she trusted him too much. My dad would insist that he puts Alex and I to bed. First Alex, then me. We each had our own bedrooms, and I loved it. My dad would stroke my hair as he tucked me in and kissed my forehead before he finally said goodnight and walked away. It happened, however, that one weekend when doing that, he asked whether I had worn my pajamas, and I said I did, but then he insisted to check for himself. Being 11, I was shy about it, but he said he would not look, so I let him slide his hands underneath my blanket, touching me. I was more embarrassed when he seemed to spend a lot of time on my thighs because I only expected he would reach to touch the fabric of my pajamas. He said, "So you were telling the truth. Good." I pulled away and he walked out of my room. This happened continuously for many nights as he tucked me in, always using a different excuse to touch me. I told my mom that I was not comfortable around him anymore, and she dismissed the thought easily, saying he was my dad now and that he loved me like his own child. One Monday morning during the holidays, Mom had gone to the salon, leaving Dad, Alex, and I at home. Dad sent Alex to the shop to get a newspaper. I had never spent time with him alone without anyone in the house. He sent me to his and Mom's room to get his phone, but right after I got inside the room, I noticed he had been following. I'd never been this terrified before. He asked me to draw closer to him, and out of fear, I said no. He came towards me, now getting angry, and grabbed me by the neck. No sooner had he reached for me than the door swung open. Mom was back. Apparently the salon was not open yet. "What are you doing, David?" Mom shouted, and pushing him over, she grabbed me and walked me to the living room. She went back to the room, and I could hear them arguing behind closed doors all the while I was shaking. She came out with her suitcase packed, went to my room and packed my clothes. We left that house the same afternoon. My mom broke off the relationship with David, and the best thing she did before leaving the house was she kicked him in the genitals, and he was screaming wickedly. He deserved it, right? Have you ever been in a similar situation? Share your story in the comments. Hit the like button if you liked my story. Subscribe to this channel to watch more such videos and press the bell icon for more updates.
Hi, I'm Chloe, and today I'm going to express the painful truth I've been carrying for so long. It's about me and my younger sister Anna. Anna was born when I was 4 years old. She was really cute, and for me, she was a new mate to play with. I loved her, tickled her, and played with her all the time. As soon as I got home after school, I would sit with Anna and tell her story after story about my entire day. Everything was good back then. As Anna grew up, though, we all started noticing abnormalities in Anna. Yes, during my mom's pregnancy, the gynecologist had informed my parents that Anna would be different and not like other babies. My mom was against abortion, and so she decided to deliver Anna. On Anna's 3rd birthday, we were all busy with the party preparations. I was blowing balloons, and my father was putting them up on the walls. My mom was looking after Anna when my granny arrived. Mom got so excited when she saw Granny that in her rush to greet her, she ran down the stairs, forgetting she was carrying Anna. Then Mom slipped on the staircase and fell badly on the floor. Mom and Anna were both injured and immediately admitted to the hospital. My dad was a wreck, and Granny tried to console him. I just prayed to God to make the situation better. We all waited for the doctor outside the emergency room. He eventually came out and said that my mom and Anna were safe, but that Anna's abnormality put her in danger. The doctor informed my parents that they had to be very careful in how they raised Anna. Any further injury could result in her death or falling into a coma. Her senses and nerves had become weaker. From then on, everyone in the house was preoccupied with looking after Anna. My parents had no time to talk to me. Even though somehow I got space from them, Anna never kept quiet. I felt that everyone was forgetting me. There was a time when only one voice was heard. Chloe, 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 Chloe. But now, it was Anna, 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 Anna. She was the cherry of their cupcake now. Before, I got what I wanted without question. But now, my wishes had become an unnecessary demand and burden. All my friends had 3-wheel bikes they used to ride to the park. Whenever I visited the park with Granny, they teased me because I always came on foot, walking. My Granny was not financially stable, so my useless wants were difficult for her to fulfill. So I asked my parents for a 3-wheel bike, but as usual, the answer was a big fat no. I got upset. I stopped eating food. I stopped talking to everyone. Seeing me so upset, my mom and dad felt bad and decided to buy a 3-wheel bike for me the following month. But my bad luck persisted, and Anna went through mental trauma. She was not behaving normally, just kept on shaking and banging her head. And so she was admitted to the hospital again, and this time she was there for a fortnight, and my dad got a huge bill. As a result, buying a 3-wheel bike was not important anymore. Days passed by, and then it was my 10th birthday, and my parents refused any kind of party. I remembered my 5th birthday. I had wanted to celebrate it with family and friends at home, and my parents actually organized it. Anna was just a year old when my 5th birthday was celebrated. My birthday party was full of entertainment and acts. There was a magic show, dancing, juggling, even a comedy show. And that's not all. Because it was my 5th birthday, I received 5 gifts each from Mom, Dad, and Granny. What an amazing birthday it was! But after Anna's 3rd birthday tragedy, no celebration ever took place at home. And now, even my 10th birthday would be an ordinary day. I wanted my 10th birthday to be celebrated in a grand way, but my parents refused. I was very sad. I cried, I shouted, I started throwing tantrums, but as usual, my parents were more interested in their younger daughter, and they just scolded me. I had always resented Anna for stealing the happiness I had with my parents. But that day, I actually hated her. On the day of my birthday, unexpectedly, my parents didn't buy me a cake, nor did they give me a present. They didn't even wish me. I was red with anger and just left home without informing anyone. And surprisingly, my parents didn't bother calling me, nor did anyone wait for me or shout at me for coming home at such a late hour. I planned to move out for further studies. I went to Oxford, leaving everyone behind. My parents often called me. Sometimes I called them back, but we never met. On my 18th birthday, I saw my parents standing outside my university. I was happy to see them. But my happiness turned into sadness when I saw Anna with them, my so-called sister who was 12 years old. They wished me and asked me to come home with them, but I couldn't make up my mind. Then Anna came and she insisted a lot. Although I hated her, I don't know why, I eventually agreed and went back home with them. All the way, I was silent. I had no words to say. No, that's not it. I just didn't want to say anything. Finally, we reached home, and as I came out of the car, I saw Granny. Granny welcomed me, wished me happy birthday, and we all went inside together. As I entered, I saw the house had been nicely decorated, and there were people there, including some of my school friends. I was clueless and trying to figure out what was happening, and then I heard a loud chorus, "Happy birthday!" Oh yes, that was a grand birthday party, thrown and all organized by my younger sister Anna. When I left home and went to Oxford, Anna always asked about me. When she was 11 years old, Granny told her the whole story. Though Anna was not normal and used to behave as a kid much younger than her actual age, she understood that I left home because of her, and because the grand party I had wanted so badly was never thrown. So with the help of Granny, she planned and organized a grand party to get me back. I feel like such a stupid girl for never trying to understand my parents' problems, and for not realizing that my sister needs me. I was so selfish, and I truly regret it. I apologized to my parents, and now we all live happily together. And I don't hate my sister anymore. I just love her and my parents. If you've also had experiences like this in the past, you can share it in the comments section below. Hit the like button if you like my story, and subscribe to this channel to watch more videos like this in the future.
Hi everyone, my name is Sally and I'm 17 years old. I've been through such a ridiculous situation. Let me tell you about it. I attended the most reputed university, and my mum recently joined the same university and teaches literature. Dave and I are students of literature and attend my mum's lecture regularly. We've both been dating for the past 5 months, but we didn't let her know about our date. My mum was 40 years old, but unlike other professors, she was quite young looking, beautiful and hot in figure. After a month my mum joined, the university organised the annual event for which all the professors were asked to perform some or the other act. So my mum had decided to play the keyboard. Dave was very popular for playing the piano, and my mum knew about it. She knew that he is my BFF, so she called up Dave at home for teaching her piano. It didn't bother me much, as I was happy that I would get some more time to spend with Dave. Next day, Dave came home in the evening. Mum joined him in learning piano and sat beside him. That moment, Dave asked me to leave while teaching piano. He wants space. I was so annoyed, but looking at Mum, I just left quietly. This continued every day. Dave used to come and teach Mum in my absence. Now it started bothering me as being at home, he was not giving me much attention. The day before the annual event, piano classes were going on and I was passing through the room, where I saw Dave holding my mother's hand saying, "You look younger than your daughter. I'm fond of you." I pinched myself, wondering if it's a nightmare, but it wasn't. I started losing my temper on Dave, but more than him, on my mum. Dave was 20 years younger than her. I started feeling ashamed of my mum. I wanted to go and ask, but I was hesitant and just let it go. Next day at the university, all day Dave tried talking to me, but I refused to talk. After the event, he came and asked about the problem. I told him that I saw him flirting with my mum. Dave panicked, but smartly lied, telling me that my mum forced him to date her, else she will give him less grade in literature. Really? That doesn't sound weird? I started feeling more ashamed of my mother. That moment, my mum was announced as the best performer of the event, so she called Dave to the stage. Of course, credit goes to his teaching. On stage, my mum confessed, saying that there was a reason behind performing as a pianist. She wanted to know about Dave and his character. She knew that I was dating him, and from somewhere, she came to know about this. She said she dated Dave, my boyfriend, secretly to know how honest he is with me, but he failed to do so. My mum showed all the recording and the pictures that they took to everyone. The reason behind telling all this publicly was that in the future Dave should not play with any other girl. After listening to all of this, I went onto the stage and hugged my mum. She is the true caretaker of mine, and I was feeling ashamed of her. I too confessed about what I felt for her and decided that I will never hide anything from her again. If you also have such experiences in the past, you can share it in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you like my story, and subscribe to this channel to watch more such videos in the future.
Hi, my name is Alice, and what I'm about to tell you might sound strange, but I wish I was ugly. I am what many people consider beautiful. I know that might sound a bit pretentious, but my experience has led me to believe that this is how most people perceive me to be at first glance. It all started when I was a baby. A lot of people would come up to my mom and comment on how beautiful her child looked. Of course, it seems pretty normal to compliment on a baby's appearance. After all, who doesn't love babies? But that attention did not wane over time. When I was 3, my mom was asked by a friend who works in show business if she would be willing to enter me into a children's beauty pageant. As I grew older and hit puberty, the attention I got only increased. Older boys started approaching me in the street to get to know me. Girls would say mean things about me behind my back, and one of my aunts even remarked on how I shouldn't concentrate too much on my studies since I could get by on my looks alone. When I entered high school, I developed a love of writing and studying algebra, and I excelled at sports, but nobody seemed to care at all about my interests or grades. Already, I was stereotyped as a blonde with more beauty than brains, which was far from the actual truth. All of this made me feel very distressed and anxious. I developed an insecurity about my good looks. I started to alienate myself from those around me. I became withdrawn and introverted. I changed my dressing and started wearing loose clothes, ones that wouldn't accentuate my curves or chest. Another problem with being too pretty is that people develop preconceived notions about your personality and character. Many of the boys who talked to me were only interested in my appearance, and they did not seem to care or even comprehend how smart I was, or that my hobbies were different than going to parties or hanging out late at night with friends. I was also the envy of girls in my class who would gossip about me and spread disparaging rumors that would further hurt my reputation. Due to my unsociable behavior and the way my classmates felt about me, I didn't have many close friends. And because people around me were quick to discard my interests and ambition, I too, in turn, felt that maybe I wasn't good enough to pursue my dreams. And so, I decided that since the world was so bent on treating me as nothing more than a pretty face, I would act the part and play to people's expectations of what I should be and not what I am. I started wearing skimpy clothes, and when boys tried to flirt with me, I flirted back. I began wearing makeup and lipstick. I also joined in with other girls when they would gossip. I fell behind in my studies as I would often skip class, and my grades suffered for it. Doing all of this did not make me happy. But at this point, I was so tired of trying to prove myself to others that I just thought, why bother with any of this? If this is how I will always be treated, then maybe I should act accordingly. One day in my sophomore year, I was invited to a party at one of the popular students' house. Almost every other underclassman was present. I picked out the most alluring dress I owned, and as soon as I arrived, all eyes were on me. While I did look spectacular in my new dress, it also wasn't something that I was known to wear, and so, many heads were turned in my direction. At the same time, my insecurity resurfaced and I realized that this is not who I am. As I turned back to leave, one of the boys came up behind me and grabbed my butt. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I broke down and started crying uncontrollably. Everyone present started snickering or whispering to each other while looking at me. "Don't stare at me," I said out loud. With my eyes swollen and my body shaking, I ran out of there and drove back home. I didn't come out of my room for 3 days. After a few days, I begrudgingly went back to school, fearing what my classmates would say when they saw me after the scandal I had created. I was a bundle of nerves on my first day back, after a 3-day hiatus since the incident occurred. But I met with the school's guidance counselor, who was very gentle and receptive, and I opened up to her about my problem. I told her how it might sound egotistic or atypical to say that I was too pretty and that was the source of all my anguish, but she replied that it wasn't strange at all for me to be feeling this way. She said we could work on ways for me to be more comfortable in my own skin, and though it may take a long time, I would eventually learn to love myself as a person. Thankfully, things have gradually started looking up for me. I've gotten back to my studies and my grades have returned to how they were before. I've learned how to deal with my anxiety in a more positive way, and I no longer feel as perturbed by unwanted comments on my appearance. I even joined the literature club and the debate team so that I can gain more confidence in myself, and I've made a few friends there as well. There's still a long road ahead of me when it comes to dealing with my vulnerability and self-doubt, but for now, I am happy with the path I've chosen. What's your story? True Tales wants to hear it. If you also have any such moment, you can share it in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you liked my story. Subscribe to this channel to watch more such videos and press the bell icon for more updates.